Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to Planet Marzipan, the Fish and Marillion podcast. I'm Meza, and here's my mate,
Craig Houston.
Hello, welcome to Planet Marzipan. I am Meza. I'm here with my good friend,
Fear's back because she
Faye
needs an airing.
Houston.
She needs an airing.
Yeah, well, she needs more than an airing.
The antibiotics didn't work. I think it's going to be spray domestos next.
Ooh, that's smart. I don't know what to say after that. Welcome back, Darren Newitt.
Hi.
Hello, Darren. And Mike Barton.
Good evening.
Hi, Mike. James has had to leave us, so he's been here for part one. If you've not heard part one, this won't make any sense, so go back and listen to that first. But we are here.
Well,
Are you all right, Mike? What's happened?
I was taking a drink and I wanted to say James had to leave.
You still said it. It's there. It's in.
Problems with his mouth organ.
Here we go.
There we go.
And
Doesn't make any sense if you've not heard part one, yeah.
Yeah, and listen out for later on in the episode where we will be joined by a special guest of Tim Sidwell to talk about live at, what's the name of the place again, John?
You say it.
Cadogan Hall. Cadogan Hall. Oh, Cadogan Hall. That place in London. That's not the Royal Albert.
Cadogan Hall.
Cadogan.
Yes.
I know it's cousin Feckham Hall.
Oh dear. All right, let's get back on track. We've been through the album in the last episode, so we're discussing less is more. Let's go on to Darren wanted to talk about the sleeve in the last episode. Darren, what did you want to say?
Oh, now you make me start on a negative.
Why?
I don't really like it.
Why?
Actually, I find it wrong. There's 5 band members and we got 4 squares with 2 of them squashed in together.
Go with that one then.
Well, the front cover with the 4 squares, you've got Steve Hogarth, and it looks like he's got constipation. But inside the cover, there's a gorgeous
emoting. He's emoting there.
I get that, but inside there's a really cracking photo of them all grinning and in white tops. I think that would have made a brilliant album cover. But
Okay,
yeah.
Well, there you go.
It reminds me of the Let It Be Beatles album cover. I don't know if it was meant to be deliberate.
Yeah, it was deliberately meant to be like that.
Is it right? Yeah, that makes sense then.
Great.
I mean, we've got our own version of the cover.
There's a Cakey Boys version of this, yeah.
Oh,
and it's got a picture of me sitting on a toilet.
It has,
with a really bad suntan. That's the level of it.
And I'm there in a massive black afro wig for some apparent reason. I do know why.
Cultural appropriation.
Yeah. No. It wasn't that. It wasn't that. Anyhow, Mike, what do you think of it?
It's not brown.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's okay. I mean, it stands out. I like it on the vinyl more than I like it on the CD.
Yeah.
It's the same. I know it's the same, but it's just
You can actually see what's going on, can't
yes,
you?
yeah.
But yeah, as Mike held up the sort of the promo CD, which is the back sleeve with the acoustic guitar on, might have been better. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't mind it actually. I think it's nice. There you go. But you couldn't have 5 squares, Darren, because then it wouldn't be symmetrical, would it?
you could have
that'd been like made again,
one in
wouldn't
the
it?
middle. You could have had one you could have had a circle in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh. Then it would have to be rejigged, Darren. You know about.
I think Mark Kennedy needs to do a new version of it.
He's the one who did my Cakey Boys version. So
He is the one who did the Cakey Boys.
with dodgy pictures of John on it.
Not only me. So there's a Racket CD, 1 CD version of this.
Yeah.
Is there a retail version? There must be.
Yes, there was a retail version by
An
Ear
intact
Music. Yeah.
version is an Adele version, is it?
Yeah.
There's an Adele version. There's Racket 38, which is a double.
No. That's Cadogan Hall.
Oh yeah, sorry.
You're getting ahead.
Sorry version.
Get ahead of yourself. There is a Adele.
Hold on.
Oh no,
Is it
sorry.
Is it time for your favourite slot? Do you want to get it
It's
in
time
early?
for my favourite slot.
Are we entering John's favourite slot?
He hasn't had it for a while.
Hello to Seamus, friend of the pod, who likes this slot. Here it is, just for the record. It's a lovely, lovely double white vinyl. Have you got this, Mike? You've got this, haven't you?
I haven't opened it yet.
Oh, I thought I hadn't, but I have.
Yeah.
It looks fantastic. It's not the best sounding. It's quite because obviously it's acoustic music. Every pop and crack you can hear on this, which is why I've been listening to the high res version on the Blu-ray. If I'm honest,
Was that a retail version or was it a racket version?
No, it's a retail. It's Adele.
Yeah,
it was a retail version. It's discontinued now. It's deleted. So if you can see one, pick one up. But like I say, it's quite a noisy pressing, unfortunately. There was, as Mike alluded to in part one, there was a 3-track promotional CD from Adele, Premier Music, which had Hard as Love, This Is the 21st Century, and Wrapped Up in Time, and it used the back sleeve as the front cover of the promo. We're going to talk about the tour, and then we will cover off live at Cadogan, whatever Craig's just said, however he's pronouncing it.
I've done a Louis, have I?
By the way, in part one, we mentioned Mr. Don Lajardin, and you didn't call him by the right name.
I didn't mention him. It was Mike.
I know you didn't. Mike mentioned him.
I did.
And Mike was in full flow, so I didn't like to disturb him. But
Sorry.
it's all right. He's Louis Don Lajardin on here. You know that. Craig's favourite. The tour.
Louis.
The tour started on the 4th of October 2009 at Brighton Concord 2.
We was there.
We was there. We
Really?
was
You
indeed.
went all the way down to Brighton.
Did you not go?
No, we went to Carnglaze and Burnley.
Oh, Brighton was carnage, wasn't it? It was great.
It was seated, wasn't it?
It was seated. Yeah.
It's for such a small venue, and it was like unrestricted or unreserved. Sorry, unreserved seating. So it was a case of get in, pile in, get as close to the front as you could.
Yeah.
I know David, Mr. Dobbs, he was there with us, and I know he spent a fair bit of time chatting to a certain producer person who we would like to have on the pod who would come on.
Okay.
He had a good chat with Mike Hunter that night.
Yeah. No, I mean, Brighton was good. It was the only UK day at the beginning of the tour, wasn't it? Because from there they went out into Europe, into Holland and France.
But one thing I would say that I definitely remember about that day is it was Indian summer. It was absolutely gorgeous, the weather. Everybody was out in t-shirts and shorts and stuff. And it was a beautiful day. There was a meetup in the afternoon, wasn't it? Because I remember.
Yeah.
We
met in a local pub, but I couldn't tell you which it was.
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah.
It wasn't that far from the venue. But like I said, it was a good, because it was the only UK one at the beginning of the tour and people wanted to see the first day, loads of our friends travelled. You know, it was a really big social thing. Unusually, I mean, Mike would be there now, opening of a Marillion envelope. He's there anyway now, but I can't believe you weren't there.
Well, I was living in Ireland then.
Yeah.
And we'd already made the decision that the other shows that we were doing, we'd sort of made that up. So, yeah. Brighton didn't fit into flying over and getting back. And
no, it's understandable. But from France, the tour went into Germany and then into Norway. But I think you were at those gigs, Mike.
Yeah, we done the 2 Oslo shows at the Victoria Theatre, which were completely different. It's the first time I've paid 24 quid for a Cinzano and lemonade, and then 6 quid for the ice and 6 quid for the lemon on top.
Not that you're bitter.
I was very.
Oh, he
pissed.
didn't buy any bitter.
I took the ice cubes and the lemon out because I said I didn't ask for them. They were really good shows. There were some technical issues on one of the nights. I think it was the first night, where there was an impromptu. I've got a feeling it was Sympathy that the crowd sang. I think that was the night that H disavowed the entire population of Belgium. He said we'd never had anyone from Belgium at our gigs, and carries on insulting people from Belgium. I think they've since played in Belgium. I think the last tour they played in Belgium.
Okay.
But they were really good shows. I can remember Matt Coffey coming over from Australia. Do you remember Matt, who done Swap the Band in Pontons and sold his drum kit? So he was there, and I remember he reserved some seats under the name of the Web Canberra. But they were really good shows. It was a small, intimate theatre. I remember having a little mezzanine balcony. But yeah, really good shows. The bands were really good. I think we'd gone to see Porcupine Tree the night before.
Okay. I'm just looking at the set list. I mean, we will go into it in depth when we do Cadogan Hall, but the second of the Oslo shows is the one you were talking about, Sympathy, because the audience started singing it. Not Fade Away, Buddy Holly.
Yeah. I think that might have been where the technical issue was, and they've done some fillers.
But then Drilling Holes and A Collection, which weren't in the normal set by the time we got back to the UK.
Well, I think,
and also Fake Plastic Trees.
Yeah, and I think it was a case of, because it was a two-nighter, trying to do something completely different on both nights. And I know if I remember, the tickets and the flyers were a red version and a blue version. I can't remember which night was which. Yeah. But it was to signify that it was completely different. And it was a strange weekend in Oslo because Aha were playing, Muse were playing, and Porcupine Tree were playing.
Wow.
So there was quite a lot going on. Airbag played, Gazpacho played, Pineapple Thief were over. There was quite a lot of, because there was a lot of people coming in, there was a lot going on in the town.
Brilliant. Okay. From there, the tour went to Finland, Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, Spain, Italy.
I think with this tour, they could get to more places a lot cheaper because there wasn't such a big production. Yeah. I mean, it was scaled back. I mean, it wasn't massively scaled back, but it was considerably scaled back. So it was a lot cheaper to get into places that may not have been as financially viable with the big version of the tour.
Oh, I mean, there was a day in Switzerland, and then the first UK day other than Brighton was at Cairnglaze Caverns. So again, that fits into what you've said, Craig. It's a smaller show, so you can get into these strange places like there. I know. Were you there, Mike, for that?
I was there. I remember meeting up with Mark Owens in the afternoon and Ali Brew and all them.
Yeah.
That was it was strange. I've been to Cairnglaze before. I saw fish in Cairnglaze Cave, or cavern. You're underground, obviously, because it's a cavern. It's a consistent temperature in there because you're underground. I think from memory, it's 10 or 11 degrees consistent, but it was dripping condensation the entire time. So we were all getting wet. It was just dripping, but it was a really good show. It was different. It was in a cave. You know, it's in a cavern. It's in a cave, so the acoustics are completely different as well. You were at Burnley the next night, weren't you?
We were, yeah. Did you go to that?
We drove up.
Oh, we were sat next to each other.
Sat next to each other,
weren't we? Yeah.
And we came up. That was a long day coming from Cornwall up to Burnley via Liverpool.
I loved Burnley. I
loved Burnley.
Great. It was at the Mechanics, which is like a theatre, isn't it?
Yeah.
You were there.
That was that was entertaining because that's the gig where Dobbs had his merch virginity broken, where he actually helped out on merch before the gig with us.
Yeah.
I think Lucy strong-armed him.
Did you do any of these, Darren?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I just had our first baby.
Yeah.
And we were just coming out back into a recession where I was still on pay cuts and I couldn't afford to go to any of these. But I made sure I went to the Cadogan Hall premiere at the Lighthouse.
Yeah.
To make up for it, and that was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were
But Burnley was
Greg,
good.
you
'Cause we
went
were on the
to-
front. We were on the front row.
We're on
we were
front
front
row,
row.
yeah.
We were all front
Yeah.
row at Burnley, weren't we? It was great.
It was cracking.
I
And
did get some of the downloads though, because they released a lot of downloads from this.
Yeah.
Night,
yeah,
and they were quite interesting. Yeah.
And again, the downloads, I think I downloaded that entire tour, and they're all so different. There's no two that are, you can go, well, they're identical. Everything that you listen to feels completely different.
Yeah.
Greg, you went to Leamington, didn't you?
We did. And the funny thing is,
Yeah.
if you look at the
Leamington's bad.
set lists, the set lists for Burnley and for Leamington, they did have extra tracks or extra songs in that didn't play at Cadogan. So you had things like Runaway and Ocean Cloud and Gazpacho on. Yeah, Gazpacho is on.
Yeah.
To cover
It was,
my eyes.
Ocean
Drilling Hole.
Cloud, yeah. And it's Assembly Rooms that did Cover My Eyes and Drilling Holes and
Yeah,
Eclection and The Party and Made
And
Again,
that-
as well as Ocean Cloud. So there was a bit of a rotating set in the
There was. I
UK.
think that was quite nice about that tour, that it didn't stay in one format. It didn't stay in one set list that they were comfortable with. They felt that they could actually make some quite dramatic changes.
Yeah. And Brothers wasn't frightened of bringing out the electric guitar either.
That's
No.
all.
Did you go to the Glasgow gig, Mike?
No, that was the one on the ferry.
It was, yeah.
Yes, we all escaped that infamous gig.
The
Yeah.
hand dryers.
We won't. There are lots of things to say about that, but none of us were there, so it's
No,
probably not fair of us to comment. So
it's all hearsay.
please leave some comments in the Facebook group about that.
Mr. Bliss.
Yes.
And I'm sure we'll read out some comments at the end.
Yeah. Did you do the Dublin gig, Mike?
And we did in the Button Factory, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And interestingly, that was the first time I met Guy and Ginger.
How was it?
And we were stood next to Guy and Ginger. That was a really good night. I think Sabine came over from Germany as well. It felt again, it was that whole, there was a lot of familiar faces. And I think because it was Dublin, it's a good place to go to. Really good venue. Again, a really good sound in there. Phil had a really good sound that night. But H and the band were on fire. It was really good. And again, it was just a great party atmosphere in Dublin. Really enjoyed that. I think I was still living in Ireland, so that was easy one for me. Hells came over. We had a great weekend in Dublin, and that was the last. I think then we didn't go on and do anything else after that.
Yeah. Well, the only two gigs after that then were the 2 nights at Cadogan Hall.
Yeah, kicked myself.
But I think that I really enjoyed the tour, and I think it was the first time that they had played predominantly seated venues.
Yeah.
For a long time, and this was a proper sit down, relax, chill out, and go with it kind of gigs. Not your typical rock gigs.
There was a little bit of negativity about it at the time from some folks, wasn't there, who wanted the more rock gig.
It was never going to be a rock gig as a reimagined set, as a reinterpretation. It was never going to be a rock set.
I've got really fond memories of it.
Me too.
The Cadogan Hall gigs were amazing because lots of people were there. It's a lovely, lovely hall. I did both nights. You did the first night, Craig, didn't you?
I just did one. I did the night that they didn't record.
Yeah, for obvious reasons. Yeah.
All to do with work back at the time.
That explains why I can't see you on the front row. It must be the first release. Release without you two in the front row.
I am in the front row.
He is.
Yeah. You can't. I'm right in front of Pete wearing a t-shirt with black sleeves and a white body. It's that Cakey Boys t-shirt.
It's the Cakey Boys. It's the Cakey Boys. Instead of less is more. Was it now to sod all or something like that?
Yeah, now it's sod all.
But this was effectively the Christmas shows, weren't they?
They were, yeah.
Yes.
They were early December, 6th and 7th of December.
6th and
So,
7th,
I mean, there were actually 2 Less is More gigs in 2010. There was the 4th of March in Turkey, Istanbul, and the 27th of March in Portugal, which were both Less is More gigs.
Really?
Yeah.
And Turkey?
Turkey, yeah. I mean, Turkey looks, just looking at the set list, First half is all the same. Second half of that set list is Cover My Eyes, Beautiful, This Train Is My Life, You're Gone, Runaway, Fake Plastic Trees, 80 Days, Gazpacho, Answer Machine, Estonia, Easter, 3 Minute Boy. Wow.
Wow.
I just think it's a shame that they didn't continue to do a bit more touring in the January and the February in UK and places like that to try and get into more places that they potentially hadn't been to for a while and get into your smaller theaters where you would have, say, like 5, 6, 700 capacity, just to get them in a cheaper place, just to get the name back out again for it. I think that would have been really interesting, but wasn't to be.
Darren mentioned Darren and Mike, I think, both mentioned the downloads were available. They actually released a sampler CD with tracks from different downloads called Keep the Noise
Keep
Down.
the noise down.
Keep the noise down.
Which I think was £1 or £2. It wasn't a lot, was it? It was same.
It was like the what were them
Crash courses.
Crash courses. It was
And it's a really nice little album.
It is.
It is.
Yeah, it's good. Good sound on it. It's got a certain rawness to it, but you know what? When you compare to the Less Is More, it's got a lot more kind of atmosphere to it. Build a bit more power on some of the tracks. If
A bit more of a bite, yes.
Yeah, a bit more of a bite.
Yeah. I think that's the same for all the live stuff. They're a bit more of a bite.
Well, should we talk about Cadogan Hall then? The live album and the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's the Marillion's first ever Blu-ray,
which isn't in a Blu-ray box.
It is.
Well, it is.
The retail version.
It's the retail version, yeah.
Mine's almost like a card type envelope.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the racket
that one.
version. Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
Which is no longer available. But if anybody's hasn't got a copy of it, there's certain tax dodging websites that we reference have got it quite cheap at the moment, if I'm quite right.
Have they?
Yeah.
Which version?
The retail Blu-ray.
Not that one, the other one.
One with the blue
case.
The blue case.
Yeah, that's what I haven't got that one.
It does proudly say on the sticker, the first ever Marillion Blu-ray recorded in stunning high definition. But yeah, the Blu-ray is great value because as we've said, it's got the gig on it. It's got the high-res version of the album, Less Is More. And then it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Racket TV episodes. An alternative version of It's Not Your Fault. An alternate mix of Go. And a version of See It Like a Baby as well.
And I've just had a quick look. At the moment, it is £7.99 for the Blu-ray on
Bargainous
on Amazon. So
Craig,
I'll dive for it and get it because the package for how much is actually on there is well worth it. Absolutely.
Well, it looks fantastic, doesn't it? I mean, the lighting was really basically it was just one sort of spotlight on each member of the band, wasn't it? But because they weren't moving around, that suffices. There's a lot of close-ups on this. I mean, we'll talk to Tim about it. I think it looks amazing. I said to you, is it 4K? But apparently it's not.
No, it's not. It just looks quality.
Yeah.
And considered it's 16 years old.
Yeah, it's they've got those kind of almost 4 or 5 movie lights on them, which at a point they've even used as part of the graphics on the actual disc itself, haven't you?
Yeah.
Sort of very, very clever.
Well, the gig is the first half of the gig is the album, isn't it? And then the second half is the other tracks.
Yeah, I noticed that it's very much of a split, isn't it? They cover the album first, and then
there's two. They would play 2 sets those nights, so they go off and come back on, don't they? And
so you got Go, Interior Lulu, Out of This World, Wrapped Up in Time, The Space, Hard as Love, Quartz, If My Heart Were a Ball, It's Not Your Fault, Memory of Water, and This Is the 21st Century. Like we mentioned, that they don't play Cannibal Surf Babe. That is on the studio album. It wasn't played on the tour.
No.
Now, I don't know why it wasn't played on the tour, whether they weren't that happy with it or whether it just didn't quite work live in the arrangement that they had it. Who can say?
Do you want to read the set list out for part 2, Craig?
Yeah, so they came back on, and this is more of the tracks that they play in the second half are quite staples of the live shows around that time. So we've got No One Can, Beautiful, This Train Is My Life, You're Gone, 80 Days, Gazpacho, a cracking version of The Answering Machine, Estonia, Easter, and 3 Minute Boy.
There's definitely a pitch shift, isn't there, after part 2?
Yeah.
It comes from No One Can, and then it really builds up. There's a lot more kind of drive, isn't there?
And I think the band relax more, don't they? Because these are, as Craig says, staples that they're used to playing. So,
and what version of Easter was this? What live version? 752.
4,072.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because the live version of Easter on this is acoustic all the way through, and I know back in the day when they used to do Easter acoustically live, it used to just have a little bit of the guitar solo, but they never did the proper guitar solo.
Yeah.
It just faded out or just ended there. This version, he actually plays the full guitar solo on the acoustic guitar, but that's where the song ends. It doesn't go into the
it doesn't forgive, forget.
The end. It doesn't go into the end bit. But I think the versions are good. I think No One Can, Beautiful, fairly straightforward. It's a great version of This Train Is My Life.
This train's beautiful on it.
I think that's God. The version of You're Gone is very upbeat.
Yeah. Almost too fast.
Wouldn't even think
It flies past, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You wouldn't even think it was acoustic.
No, it felt too quick and too fast and too heavy for what was going on.
Didn't even have the drum machine.
Yeah.
Section.
You can't dance to it. You can't do that whole movement of.
I don't know what to say after that.
People just needed to see that.
Yeah.
It's very visual, that.
Yeah. 80 Days, good version. Gazpacho, Now, the Answering Machine.
The Answering Machine's great.
Yeah, because that went back to the original version that's not on Radiation, which was the more kind of, was it what they call it, the Tull version or whatever, the Jethro Tull version, where it's a raucous acoustic version, and Estonia is as gorgeous as ever. So there's the version of Easter, then they plug everything back in again, and they do like an electric version of 3 Minute Boy.
Yeah,
it's a good gig. It's
a great gig, and I think the audience participate. You know, the ovations they get after each song are really nice. It feels
second
genuine.
Half, people standing up clapping.
It feels really genuine, and I think watching that for someone who wasn't there as well, it was like, wow, that's a good gig. That's a real good gig.
Yeah.
You know, what was the capacity there, John? 400-500?
I know. I think it tops 1,000.
Yeah,
really? You've got a balcony as well.
Oh, okay.
Craig, I get to do it twice.
Oh God!
There was a time CD, but there was also.
Is it time for your second favorite slot?
Second favorite slot. Oh, back again. Live at Cadogan Hall.
I hope it's not sloppy seconds.
Fuck, it is. 4 red vinyl albums.
4.
Yeah.
4 discs.
Really nice.
It's beautiful. It sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it does.
It's not as crackly as the studio one. It's really good.
Is this a racket one or is this a retail?
This is a retail. This is Adele. I think it's still available, isn't it?
Quite possibly.
Craig's just going to shop on Amazon and let you know.
Yeah, let's have a look. But
yeah, it's hefty.
Oh, they play that as well, don't they?
What?
on the Blu-ray, they play a bit of Vision On.
Yeah.
And of course, it's probably only us UK folk that actually know what the hell they're playing.
Yeah.
Of a certain age group.
Yeah.
The vinyl's no longer available.
Oh dear. If you can get it It's highly recommended.
But it's
Sleep-
funny though, because the audio CD is actually more expensive than the Blu-ray, and the DVD is more expensive than the Blu-ray. So buy the Blu-ray.
Okay. We're not on commission, folks, so
Why not?
that's a genuine recommendation. But yeah, anything else you want to say about Cadogan, Cardigan, whatever we're calling it, Hall?
I really enjoyed it, and it was one of my favorite gigs in London.
Do you want me to- did anybody go to the preview at the Lighthouse in Wolverhampton?
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That was great.
it
Do you wanna
was.
hear my- do you want to hear my little story?
Go
Go
on.
for it.
So anyway, I turned up and it was great. I booked them because I couldn't see them on the tour. I thought I'll go and see this, so I booked it. I think we booked tickets through the fan club, if I recall. Turned up and I spoke to Mike Hunter and Simon Ward, and because I've done a couple of the album covers and book jackets and that, so we're chatting about that. Anyway, there was a call out saying, "Please, can you make your way to the hall because show's about to start." Of course, some of the band were there. I think Pete wasn't there, if I recall memory.
Pete was on the screen. They did a bit
Yeah.
where the other four were stood in front of the screen.
That's right.
Yeah,
On
that's
the
right.
screen, yeah.
That's correct. Yeah. So Pete was.
Oh, that's the one where the band was sitting behind us, isn't it?
Behind us, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the one when we're playing silly buggers with the 3D glasses. The turn
Yeah.
says, "Bloody hell, it's just like that." In front of you. And the word.
So anyway, they call everybody to go in, and I said I think I was chatting with Simon. I said I've got to go to the loo before we go in because I've had a few beers, and so I went to the loo. Come out, hall was empty, the reception area, and I thought, where the hell's everyone gone? So I had to try and find where the entrance to the theatre was. I go in, and you have the vestibule before you go in, the dark area before you go in one set of doors and the next. So walk in there. Who's in there? Marillion. So I'm stuck in there with myself and the band, just us. And I was like, oh, I'm meant to be going in there. So anyway, they're like, oh, are you late? Steve Handcuff's going. So I walk away and trying to find something. I actually got a front row seat because for some reason nobody wanted to sit in the front row. But yeah, that was a bit of an interesting one.
You should have walked out with them. You could have passed yourself off.
Pete, yeah.
That's it, yeah. I'm almost short enough.
No, it's good. The things at the Lighthouse were really good, and they were arranged for
I was going to say, did we go there twice? Wasn't there? another-
yeah,
Yeah. That's when the band were heckling themselves on the stage,
that's right. Yeah,
and we had to tell them to shush.
no, they were good nights.
Holidays in Zealand.
Pardon?
The second time they were there was at Holidays in Zealand.
I don't know. I can't remember now.
Something like that.
You probably.
I don't know. Was it not? It could have. Was it one of the sounds that can't be made ones? I can't remember. I've slept since then.
I'm sure that the listeners will know and will correct us on this, but we're too old and too fuzzy now to remember that.
Young man.
But I think we've covered all of Less is More.
And I think it's
Yeah.
now time to hand over to
To
John and
Tim.
Craig
Oh, to you and me.
with Tim.
Right. Well, at the top of this episode, we've promised you a chat with Tim Sidwell, and Tim has now joined us. Welcome, Tim.
Hi, chaps.
Hello, you well?
I'm very well, thanks. Not too bad. I haven't seen you since Holland. How's it going?
No, I know. You're in Leicester as well, aren't you?
I'm going to Leicester, yeah.
Nice. Well, we'll see you very
With,
shortly.
with a couple of cameras.
Oh, well, as you do. As
As
you
I
do,
do.
yeah. Well, we're here. Speaking of cameras, we're here to talk to you about Live from Cadogan Hall, and I'm pronouncing it that way, Craig. So that's it.
Okay, that's your reference point.
That's
How do you pronounce it, Tim?
Cadogan.
Cadogan. That'll do. That'll do.
Although Cadogan is kind of like, it rolls off the tongue a little quicker.
It
doesn't
sounds grander, doesn't it?
Cadogan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Cardigan, Craig pronounced it.
Cadogan.
Cadogan.
Anyhow, you and your guys filmed the band on the 7th of December 2009 on the last night of the Less is More tour. It was it is the band's first Blu-ray as well, isn't it?
That's correct, yeah. Yeah.
So did it throw up, because the lighting on this tour was very different, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah.
Did this sort of throw up some different challenges for you?
Not particularly. We worked quite closely with Jens in the run up to it, and I believe, if I can remember correctly, because it was so long ago, Jens had brought in these big kind of 2K lamps to put on the stage that I don't think had been included in on any of the lighting for any of the other things, because he wanted it to look special in such a grand place. I mean, the venue's lovely to film.
It is, yeah.
It looks really, really nice. But in terms of the lighting, no, it was fine, because earlier that year we'd filmed in Port Zealand, which turned out to be the out of season box set. And that was the last one that we did in standard definition.
Right.
And I don't even think we had discussed about potentially doing Blu-ray on that, filming in HD. I think it might have been a bit of a cost restrictive exercise, taking everything out to Holland. But in the run up to the Less is More tour, we'd been doing a lot of research on cameras and stuff, and Sony had got this little camera called the EX3, which was very cost effective, and we basically threw a few of those at the show, and it came out, like you say, really, really nicely. And you know, a lot of that is to do with the lighting. Well, it's to do with the lighting. And I've just been watching a little bit of it back, and it looks really rich and
it does, doesn't it? Yeah,
and very, very immersive as well.
And there's a lot of, I don't know whether there's more. It just feels to me like there's a lot more close shots, a lot more crop shots of like hands and faces rather than sort of the wider shot.
I think that's the nature of what they were doing on that tour with the acoustic stuff, and it was really interesting. All the instruments they were using, the dulcimer, the auto harp. I mean, amazingly as well. And it reminded me when I was watching it, you could actually see Ian as well, because he didn't take out his whole drum
he
kit.
didn't have full kit with him. Yeah,
so because Ian's always a nightmare to try and film, because he just hides behind everything. So that was quite nice. But no, I think it's testament to the acoustic format that you can get in a bit closer. It feels a bit more intimate. And I think that's what the band were trying to achieve with the music as well. You know, they were trying to strip everything back, but in doing so, they were all learning new instruments, and they were all putting different textures and different arrangements to the songs, which made it, you know, a lot more interesting than seeing five blokes, you know, bass, keyboards, electric guitar and drums and singer. You know, there was a lot going on during those shows. It was really nice to be able to sort of get into the detail of it, and you know, use a bit of soft focus, lots of fades, sort of to really sort of work with the texture of the music visually.
I suppose it was a bit easier with H being sat still in the middle, whereas normally you're trying to chase them around the stage and trying to get the shots. So you just to get it framed right. But this, you could plan it a bit more, I think.
I was watching they did a few Racket TV episodes. It was like the early forerunner of the YouTube channel. And I was watching a few of those just in preparation for this chat. And one of the questions that H had been asked was it difficult to sort of immerse yourself emotionally in the songs? And his answer was, well, no, it was actually easier, because he's not fighting against the wall of noise that he usually has to. You know, the voice becomes a lot more distinct, and there's a lot more focus on the voice in this kind of format. And I think he was able to sort of throw himself a lot more into it as a result.
It's very much a show of two halves, though, isn't it? It's the first half is the album, and I think that's where they had really stretched themselves and used some of the alternative instruments, whereas the second half they kind of fall back a little bit to some of the classics, and the band noticeably relax more in the second half of the show.
Probably because they were used to the arrangements, because they worked quite a lot on the arrangements for the album, didn't they? Like Interior Lulu, for example, was compressed a little bit. They lost a few sections of it musically just to make it work acoustically. And for a band, I suppose, who play these songs tour in, tour out, to suddenly have a different arrangement, it's a lot of hard work. And then to be able to sort of fall back on some staples that they haven't mucked around with, then it would have been led to a more relaxing kind of performance.
Presumably the cameras were, I don't know if you can remember this, but the cameras were fixed in Cadogan, were they?
We didn't have anything like jibs or tracking cameras or anything like that.
Right.
I mean, Cadogan, I can't even say it.
That place.
Cardigan. It's a lovely looking venue, but the camera positions are extremely few and far between. We filmed Big Train there a year or so ago, and we had a similar issue. you know, because the audience is sat and there's no pit to speak of. Yeah, you couldn't get in anybody's eye lines, so you kind of at the front of the stage, you're constrained to having them extreme stage left and extreme stage right, which makes shots really profiley. And then you could have a couple on stage, and there's a rake to the auditorium as well. So whereas we would usually like to have a camera on the center line for the vocalist, which would be essentially the lens would be at the same kind of level as the vocalist's face, at Cadogan, you're kind of looking down, so it gives that kind of top down kind of feel, even though it's ever so slight. So there's that aspect to it as well. But the cameras on stage and around the stage were those cameras that were able to get really nice and close to, you know, Mark's hands on the xylophone, or Pete on his acoustic bass, or whatever, you know. And because it was such a not an energetic show, the cameras could do the work rather than letting the band do the work in the frame. So it leads to a little bit of a different kind of feel to the things that we normally film with Marillion.
I think that slightly elevated view of H works in this one, though, because then you see it, you're looking at it from above the dulcimer, aren't you? And you can see what he's doing there.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's what it's all about. Like we said, it was all about the instruments and what the band were doing with them, and swapping instruments around. And I know that they all had to learn different instruments in order to do the arrangements and record the album. So it's a bit of a challenge for them.
I think going back to the lighting a little bit, because as Craig, we've discussed on here before, I'm a huge Big Train fan, and I've got both their films from Cadogan. The first one wasn't filmed by you guys, I don't think. And lighting of Cadogan is very difficult because it's basically just this whole white wall, isn't it?
It is.
White expanse. And I think the lighting on this really helps it because that darkness fills the space.
Yeah, what we found with the Big Train, Jens did the lighting for that, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
And Jens, for an electric show, will always throw the brightness of a million suns at stuff. And when you've got the white wall at Cadogan behind the stage, it makes it a little bit challenging to sort of provide that kind of real rock and roll atmosphere. But for this particular show, because everything was felt quieter, more intimate, Jens had sort of played around with that, and the color washes on the back wall are all kind of dark colors, and it's all punctuated by moving finger lights, and you've got those 2K lamps all over the place as well, giving it a really nice warmth. So the combination of everything just really led to a really nice, rich kind of visual feel to the whole thing.
Yeah,
I think it was also helped that it was Christmas time as well, so you had the Christmas tree up there, so you had the lighting, and it all worked.
Well, it's really simple when the Christmas lights come on during this train, isn't it? But it gets a cheer from the audience.
Exactly, yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. So I presume you'd seen the band on a few dates beforehand to get some sort of idea of shots?
I'm trying to remember.
I mean, there was the night before at Cadogan.
We actually filmed over both nights.
Oh, okay.
We did. And I can't remember whether they played different sets each night.
I don't think they did, actually.
Whether there was songs that were played one night and not the other. But we did film both nights, which for the edit, so far as I can remember it didn't lead to very many problems, apart from I think H's hair was ever so slightly different on both nights.
Okay.
So you had to really pick and choose if you use, one shot from one night or whatever. But yeah, we definitely did film over both nights.
Okay.
I think we might have changed the camera positions around for the second night just to give us a few more angles. So what we probably might have, I think what probably did was use more of the kind of closer up hands shots from different nights to mix it all together.
Yeah.
So that's behind the curtain kind of.
Yeah. And what were you pleased with the outcome of the Blu-ray then? Because it is the first time that we can see your stuff in high def.
Definitely. Definitely. I think everything led towards a really nice shoot, and the picture quality is really, really great. And like I said, I've just been watching it. It holds up really, really nicely. And it was, I can't remember whether we'd actually committed to doing it before we did Port Zealand earlier in the year. I can't imagine that we did, because they didn't when did they record the album? Was it 2009?
2009, yeah, it was during the summer of 2009.
After the conventions, yeah.
Yeah.
So we would have talked about doing it in HD during that year after Port Zealand. But I think thinking about 2009 convention, I think we were looking at perhaps doing that for Blu-ray, but it just, like I say, the cost was just prohibitive, and we couldn't do it at that point.
Yeah.
And that's the point in time where the costs started to come down, where it made it a lot easier. I mean, to be fair now, I mean, it's been a good few years now. You've been able to get, like, you could be able to film HD and 4K on your phone now.
I know, yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
But this was the first one where, I think it was before the release, we all encamped to a cinema to see the premiere.
Where did we do that? Was that in Wolverhampton?
Lighthouse.
The Lighthouse, yeah. Yeah, that was good fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So to see, the quality of it holding up on the big screen as well, it's a testament to how well it looked.
I was really pleased with that. I used to work at Lighthouse, which is why we had the association, and I remember going in. I can't remember how we projected it now, because you these days you have to produce a digital file, which is a really bespoke kind of file that you put into the software, or the hardware rather, in projector rooms to put it on screen. But this one I think we did from tape, and I remember going into Lighthouse with John Turner, who was also one of the camera operators on the show, and we spent ages transferring the master film from one tape format to another, and putting it through the projector to make sure that it would work properly, sort of sync up with all the sound and everything like that. And I think we got it wrong the first time, so that was a very long evening. Dubbing it all over again and making sure it would work. And I also remember that the guys at Lighthouse were a bit kind of like, oh God, what should we get in for beer and stuff? I said, look, just get loads of real ale in, it'll be absolutely fine, because they had a little bar there as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, they sold out of all that. I think they were really pleased with it. Fortunately, Lighthouse isn't there anymore. Yeah.
No. I think we talked about that before, haven't we? Yeah, no, it's really sad. But yeah, it was a great night. It was a great night, and brilliant.
And the band were there as well, weren't they?
The band were, well, apart from Pete.
Apart from Pete, yeah, and they did that. They had a film, didn't they?
Yeah, Pete was on the screen, and they were there. Yeah, No, it was great. It was great. On a completely unrelated note, because we've got you here, how have the submissions gone for the Port Zealand footage?
Well, I've been sitting here regularly downloading them from the Dropbox, and I think we've got submissions from around about 200 different people.
Wow.
So which sounds great, but I haven't had an opportunity to actually sit down and actually watch everything. I mean, 99% of it might be completely unusable, in which case I might be putting another shout out for people to sort of do some more. But I mean, I'm absolutely bowled over by the response. It's been absolutely incredible, and many, many thanks to everybody that's taken the time and the effort to film some stuff and to upload their material. And Mike has already done some rough mixes from the 3 shows.
Indeed.
I've already set up the timelines for the edit for the 3 shows. I haven't got around to actually starting them yet.
No.
But once they do get started, it will be quite a quick process, I think, to get them edited up. So I know you're probably going to ask when can you expect to see it on the shelves?
It'll be a long time.
We won't. No, I wouldn't do that to you, Tim, because that's like how long is a piece of string, and
exactly,
I know it relies on lots and lots of other people's decisions as well. So
yeah. But it's going to shape up to be a brilliant release, I think. Yeah.
Really looking forward to it, and we're looking forward to seeing you in Leicester.
Yeah. So I'm there to film the audience with Marillion on Sunday night. And I'll probably throw if I'm there, I usually sort of at least put a lock-off camera at front of house to get the show on a decent quality thing. So whether or not that will end up anywhere, who knows? But we'll have a record of it anyway. It's the most important thing.
And have you been asked, or are you still talking to the band about Marillion Monthly, or has that passed?
Well, it's kind of seemed to be on a hiatus.
Okay, yeah. Only summer break.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously they're sort of doing weekends up until the end of June, Berlin being the last one, and then they're all buggering off on holiday. and then when they get back, it'll be new album time and really get their teeth into that, which is probably a good time to sort of reinvigorate the format.
Yeah.
And try and get some more stuff up there. We've got lots of plans for the video on demand side of things, whether it's the space and YouTube, which will sort of come be revealed over the coming months.
Brilliant.
So we are thinking ahead to what can be done to support the new album and its release whenever that might be.
Yeah.
But I mean, just going back to Less is More, I was thinking, I really wish they'd go back and sort of revisit some of that stuff, because it's very different. And I think there's a lot of scope for them to sort of make something of it. I mean, one of my other favorite bands is Levelers, and they have a not so much a side project, but they have an acoustic project called Levelers Collective, and they regularly go out on the road for like sit down shows. They bring in other musicians to play different instruments, and they do a similar thing in rearranging some of their songs, and it's sort of brought a great response from their fan base, and is supported as much as their usual electric shows. So, whether or not that's viable for our boys, I do not know. But
I think I do agree with you, Tim. I mean, there's certainly a market for H natural, and this is a natural this is a progression from that, isn't it? Really.
I guess a lot of people will say, well, if I want to see Marillion, I'd rather see them play their full live, electric show, which is fair enough. But yeah, we're going in this episode. We're going to include some listeners' comments as well. There is an element of that. There's some folks who won't go anywhere near this album, and there's other folks that really love it.
Yeah.
Of which
proper Marmite
have been on the podcast, haven't they? But it's a great record. It really is, and the arrangements and the time that the guys spent on it. It just sounds wonderful. It's dying for a surround mix for me. I know I'm a surround guy, but yeah.
I think Mark should get his organ back as well. His big church organ.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where we might have to leave it. Mark and his organ.
Mark's organ, yeah.
Yeah. It's a good point to leave it on. Tim, thank you very much for your time today. It's great to speak to you, mate.
It's great to speak to you guys as well.
All right, take care.
See you soon, mate.
Thank you. Back to us, and we'll hand over to you and me to hear what the listeners think about Less is More.
Do they love it? Do they hate it? Is it a mixed bag? Let's find out.
Okay, so you've heard what we think of the album, and I asked you through our Facebook group around about the beginning of May what you think about Less is More, and we got lots of comments.
I'll start with Felicity, who was...
Go on then. Yeah, get that out of the way. Yeah, go.
Okay, less is less. The only thing this album gives me is a greater appreciation for the originals. Not one version here is an improvement. And don't get me started on the utter disgrace of turning the rage of Hard as Love into a saccharine lullaby. And like Martin says, get off the fence and tell us what you really think.
Yes. Thank you, Felicity. Kieran Buxton says, oh, what a lovely album. When I'm in the mood to just sit and chill, it's my go-to choice. And watching the live version is a journey into strange and wonderful instruments. Also, of course, the music that floats. A show I very much wish I had been at.
Stephen Malcolm Jones saw them at Carnglaze Caverns, the Rum Store in Cornwall. Really good venue, and thought the show was something different. Not an album I play often, but it has its moments.
Yeah. Colin Pownell says, I still believe this is a brilliant album. I loved it from day one and play it to this day. We went to see them at Burnley Mechanics, which I thought was a strange venue. It was a great night. Amazing night in a very intimate theatre. Hope they'll do another one like this soon. Yeah, good shout.
Yeah, yes. Paul Macmillan. It's not one I reach for, and I think some acoustic work with Unplugged at the Walls and the Cadogan Hall show follows the album, actually brings it to life a bit more. It's nice, but I feel it was aimed at a coffee shop background music feel, which was a bit all the rage back when it was released. And I think they've done much better with Friends from the Orchestra, which followed later as a project.
Which we will cover at some point, won't we? Seamus Colgan says, now here's the thing. It's the only album I haven't bought on vinyl. So that's perhaps saying something. It's a lovely and pleasant listen from start to finish. After many listens through, it still kind of washes over me without any huge highlights or no-goes. I've got the Blu-ray, which is really good, but I haven't returned to it often, if I'm honest. I'm really looking forward to this episode, though, and I challenge you guys to get me more excited about Less is More. Well, we've tried. I hope it's worked, Seamus.
Andy Bliss. Hi, Andy, mate. You all right? Definitely bottom of the table Marillion album for me.
Oh, boo.
Possibly trying to be too clever with when a standard acoustic album like Unplugged at the Walls would have done. I quite like Hard as Love simply because it was completely different, although the original is still much better for me. The one track that I got a totally new appreciation for was Wrapped Up in Time, which passed me by entirely on Happiness is the Road. The other thing of note about the album was the warm-up gig in Brighton, which served as a first date for me and a Scottish lass called Pammy. We got married 5 years later, and last year celebrated our 10th wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
Go on there, Andy and Pammy. We love you both.
Yeah, fantastic. It was a great night, wasn't it?
Yeah.
David Beckwith says, I gave it a few listens on release and saw them at Cadogan Hall, which was great, but haven't really returned to it since. I bought the vinyl copies of both the album and the live show, but I think they're still wrapped, which is a sign. To be honest, much of my time these days is spent listening to all of these bloody Marillion-related podcasts. No time for music anymore. Sorry, David.
Sorry, mate. And he's all the rage. It's Gary Page.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. Don't listen much, and for me it's not an album proper, and when I tell people how many albums they've made, I don't include it. For me, it's like one of those brilliant extra discs you get with a best of. I find the production, especially H's voice, too dry. I guess that's what they were going for, although fair play. I adored the tour and saw them on the Concorde 2 and Cadogan Hall.
Mm. Lucy Jordash Marillion says, love it. Kiss.
Cool. Let's have a look. Thorsten, I love it, especially Hard as Love in Less is More style. Saw them in a gasometer in Oberhausen, special location for our very special heroes.
Yeah. Mark McCormack from Marco's Marillion Museum says, due to a very busy family work life at the time, I drifted a bit from attending gigs. When Less is More was released, it blew me away. I know it's not a typical comment, but I must have played it 100 times before I saw the tour, which again was wonderful. I just love the stripped back versions and unusual instrumentation. Some of the versions I probably favour over the originals. Listen to part 1, Mark.
Mark Donald, really like it, and Rebecca Arthur, love it and listen quite often. The Cadogan Hall gig was sublime. I actually prefer this version of Hard as Love, and even H said it's turned it into a completely different song, and I reckon if most people heard it without knowing the original, they would agree. I really like Not Your Fault too.
Lee Fuller says they played Burnley on that tour, so I have a soft spot for the album. And Phil Davies says, don't mind it, particularly quotes Out of This World and Not Your Fault. We went to Burnley Mechanics for this one, as did we, guys. It was a good gig, wasn't it?
Also, Carl Rag Regan, I love the gig in Burnley.
There you go.
And I loved the album at the time, but I can't remember the last time I actually wanted to give it a spin. In short, I've got very fond memories of the album and tour, but in the long term, I don't really get much from it.
Yeah. Andrew Barnsley Wood, he of this parish, says, for me, the live experience is standing in a hot and slightly crowded dark room, listening to a wall of sound with moments of light and shade, ale in hand, shades down, and in my own world. While the Less is More experiment was nice enough, I would have preferred a 2-part set with, say, 45 minutes of full band music. But hey-ho, you can't always be right, Barnes, can you?
I suppose. Our Planet Music Brothers, Mikey K, says, never played it since I got this. Convince me it needs a spin, boys. Go on, go for it. And Gray, quite enjoy the album. I'd even go as far as to say 1 or 2 of the reimaginings are really good.
Okay. And if you want to know what we're talking about, it's our other podcast, Planet Music. Search out for the group, the Facebook group, Planet Marzipan Presents Planet Music for more information. That's a plug in the middle of the episode.
Yeah.
I'm going to hand us back to him and me.
Thanks for all your sponsors, guys. Sorry, I'll say that again. Thanks for all your sponsors, guys. Get
Yeah,
your teeth
thanks
back
for your
in.
support. Over to Mezza and Craig. Well, that was interesting, wasn't it, folks? I
Yeah,
can't believe they said that
vit-
about it. Yeah, how dare
Vitriol,
they?
is that the right word?
How dare they? Anyhow, thanks for listening to us. This is twice as long as the album, isn't it? These 2 episodes.
Oh, yeah.
But thanks for listening. We do appreciate it. And we just want to thank our guests, Mike Barton.
Thank you very much for having me again.
Thank you, Mike. And Darren Newitt.
Thank you very much, and good evening.
Thank you. And Tim Sidwell.
Thank you.
And for part 1, James Levy.
Yeah, you can thank himself.
Yeah. I just want to thank Craig.
That's fair.
Sorry,
Come on,
Faye.
just had him airing.
He's got the wig on again. Faye. It's just all that remains to be said is it's good night from me.
It's good night from him.
Take care.
Go on, Mike.
Stay alive.
Hey. Thanks for listening to Planet Marzipan Podcast. Please like and subscribe from whichever platform you get your podcasts from. You can contact us at planetmarzipanpodcast@gmail.com and check out marillion.com, fishmusic.scot for all the good stuff.